What if the beliefs you hold were never yours to begin with? What if every opinion, every conviction you swear by was planted in you by someone else? But here's the twist. Even if that's true, the moment you choose to believe it, doesn't that make it yours anyway? Let's talk about belief, free will, and the one decision that might actually belong to you. What if every single belief you hold was never really yours to begin with?
If the beliefs that I hold are not mine to begin with, the question comes, who are there? Who are theirs in the first place? Now, let's break it down. Things which are not mine, but I still identify with them. That would be what a belief is, right? Because a belief is something which is personal to a person. That even if it is not mine, I still believe it is mine. Why is that? Because things that I identify as being especially me, belief falls into that. So my eyes, my hair, my speech methodology, my way of thinking, all of these are things that belong to me, even though they might not originate from my own decisions. So therefore my genetics, my upbringing, my immediate environment, my experiences, all of these form who I am as a person, and whoever they form, that is the person that choose the belief. So in that way, belief is actually mine.
That's sharp. You're saying, even if the origin of a belief isn't mine, the chooser, the one who adopts it, is me, which means belief is mine by virtue of identification, not authorship. But here's the twist. If who I am was also shaped by things outside me, genes, culture, childhood, then even the chooser might be a puppet. So then, do I really choose the belief, or was I designed to choose it?
Would it even matter in the first place? I mean, think about it. A lion chooses to, for example, hunt a very specific animal, right? And we know for a fact that lions choose that animal because of their evolutionary psychology. Lions choose to hunt that sort of animal because that is what they have identified after millions and millions of years of evolution to be the best and the most sustainable pathway towards survival. So, if that is the case, does that mean that individual lion's choice does not exist, or to even if that choice is informed by every other thing? That is a question, right? Why can't they both exist? Why can't it be a dimensional thing that yes, me existing in a certain way and me choosing things in a certain way are not my choice, but in the virtue, in the dimension of my existence, whatever I do choose is actually mine. So free will in that particular framework is not free untethered of dimensionality. It is free in the dimension of my perspective, but objectively speaking, from a universal standpoint, it wouldn't be free.
Exactly. That's a powerful framing. Free will as dimensionally contextual. The lion isn't free in the cosmic sense, but within the realm of lionhood. Every step, every stalk, every chase is a choice. So maybe the same applies to us. From the outside, we're predictable patterns. But from the inside, this vantage point we call me, it's all real. The doubt, the decision, the responsibility. So maybe the question isn't, is free will real? It's real to whom?
Exactly. And in that framework, I will say belief are even more real than my other choices. Now you're going to ask me why? Because all of those other choices are ones which I identify with, right? Because I identify with having black hair, I identify with having olive skin, I identify with speaking in a certain way. All of these, why do I identify? Because to me, I can see that they exist within me, right? So it is informed by reality, and that is the reason it's less so choosing, it is more so accepting. Same thing happens when you, let's say, choose when you free will your way into a certain education stream. For example, I choose science over commerce. Why? Because I found that my abilities were more in line with commerce, sorry, more in line with science, and that is the reason I picked science. Which means reality, and the reality, as in things that did exist already, they were influencing what I ended up choosing, right? And that is why it was not mine. But when it comes to belief, right, I am deciding for whatever reason. Maybe it is due to hearing everyone else, but it is still my own agency, my own aspiration, my own will to decide, yes, this is what I believe in, right? So it is not informed by any sort of reality, it is more so informed by my will. And wouldn't you call that will itself an agent of my own selfhood? Therefore, in that methodology, choosing a belief is an expression of free will.
That's a fascinating inversion, because beliefs aren't shaped directly by physical constraints or external realities. They're actually more yours, not less. You're saying belief is the purest form of authorship. It's not chosen because of aptitude, genetics, or necessity. It's a declaration. This is who I choose to be. So paradoxically, the less a belief is rooted in what is, the more it becomes an expression of who I am.
Exactly. And that is the reason belief is more real than any of the other things that you would count as real, right? Yeah, that does not mean the belief is not constrained. It is constrained by the kind of person I became, but it is still the choice of that person to believe in that, rather than accepting reality and then aligning his choice with reality itself. That is a shackled way of thinking. That is basically choosing among three things between the three options that you've been provided. Belief is not that. Belief is creating a fourth thing outside of your constraints to believe in, right? I believe in XYZ God, in XYZ religion, even though my immediate surroundings might not be forcing me to believe in that, and I believe in it strongly because that are my values. It doesn't matter what the ownership or the authorship of those values are, because the point is those are still characteristics of me. So it is me using myself in order to choose something, rather than me reconciling with reality about myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. What you're pointing at is that belief isn't a reflection of the world, it's a projection of the self. Even if your values are shaped by 1,000 prior influences, the act of believing is still you affirming something beyond necessity. So belief in this model isn't a passive inheritance. It's an active declaration, a signature, not of the unshackled self, but of the self choosing in spite of its shackles.
Exactly. So the point is, belief is mine. Belief is the one thing in the universe beyond anything else which is mine. Therefore, belief is my expression of free will. Belief is my expression of selfhood. Belief is not proof that I am constrained. Rather, belief is proof that I can choose to be free.
What if belief is the only real choice we ever make? In a world where everything seems determined, our biology, our upbringing, our instincts, belief might be the only place where our free will gets to speak. Not because it's logical, but because we choose it. Thanks for watching. If that made you think, hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more. Patterns are everywhere.